After the disaster from 2016, Warner Bros. Decided to give this unlikely band of supervillains turned superheroes another go, but this time they decided to hire the guy who's an expert in making a bunch of nobodies into sheer fan favorites. In today's video, we're going to talk about its much anticipated standalone sequel, which is the superhero flick, The Suicide Squad. What's up, all you showmen and showwomen around the world? Welcome to another edition of ShowmaNation. If you're new to this channel, then make sure to hit the subscribe button with the bell icon, and make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram by clicking on the links in the description box so that you guys get regular updates about the channel and about my videos. Now, with that out of the way, The Suicide Squad is a superhero comedy film that is directed by the very famous James Gunn, who's best known for making some really successful superhero movies such as Guardians of the Galaxy and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. The movie has an ensemble cast with a lot of the cast from the previous movie reprising their roles, and they also added a few big names in Idris Elba, who's best known for his hit TV show Luther, and John Cena, who needs no introduction as nobody can actually see him. They also added one of my all-time favorite actors, the legendary Sylvester Stallone, as the voice of King Shark. The movie begins with Amanda Waller assembling two Task Force X teams, also known as Suicide Squad, that comprised of prisoners who agree to carry out missions for Waller in exchange for lighter sentences. They are sent to Corto Maltese after its government is overthrown by an anti-American regime and are tasked with destroying this Nazi-era laboratory, Jotunheim, which holds a secretive experiment known as Project Starfish. One team is led by the Suicide Squad OG, Colonel Rick Flag, and it also had Harley Quinn in it, while the other team is led by Bloodsport, played by Idris Elba, and it also consisted of Polka Dot Man, Ratcatcher 2, King Shark, played by Sylvester Stallone, and Peacemaker, played by John Cena. Then as the movie goes on, we see these band of misfits come together and cause chaos and anarchy as they kill through the whole of Corto Maltese, ironically to restore peace and order, while also unraveling the many conspiracies that has been taking place behind the scenes. Now that was a little premise about the film, and now if I have to point out all the good parts of the film, then I'll start with number 1, direction. James Gunn has done it yet again as he successfully introduced a bunch of characters that most people, including me, didn't even know existed. Like minor comic book characters like Ratcatcher 2 and Polka Dot Man were given enough screen time to shine and make a name for themselves, and besides them, Peacemaker and Bloodsport were another welcoming addition to the DC Extended Universe, as these two arrogant douchebags established themselves as the best part of this film. The characters were written really well, as throughout the whole movie, the director successfully makes us audience connect and even sympathize with these characters, even though they're supervillains who did some really terrible things. And this is where I give James Gunn a lot of credit, as this time around, you'll care a lot about these characters, which is something that was missing from the first movie. Aside from well-written characters, the film had a really good pacing and progression. He did a really good job in transitioning between concurrent events and even switching from the present to the past, as the flow was very smooth and will even keep the audience guessing till the last minute. Number 2, acting and action sequences. Now guys, for a superhero film, the acting of this movie was just top-notch, as all the actors involved did a terrific job in their respective roles. I've grown up watching and admiring John Cena, and to this day I still do, and it makes me really happy to see him casted as Peacemaker, because guys, I'm telling you, his performance was so good that it's just gonna blow you away. It's as if the man was born to play a douchey Captain America, and I think he found his role in Peacemaker, and I think this role will propel him into superstardom and put him on path of becoming a legitimate Hollywood A-lister, as guys, I can assure you he's one of the best finds of this year across all genres. Viola Davis as Amanda Waller was a perfect casting decision, as she excels in her role as this heartless bitch, and she will make you hate her throughout the whole movie. Sylvester Stallone as King Shark might sound like a really strange decision at first, but I can assure you guys, once you guys watch the movie, you guys are just gonna fall in love with King Shark, as he's just adorable throughout. Amongst all these great performances, the one man who absolutely stood out was the morally conflicted, ruthless assassin, Bloodsport, played by Idris Elba. He proved it yet again as to why he's one of the most sought after Hollywood actors, as he took a rather unknown character in Bloodsport and made him into an absolute fan favorite and a mainstream success. Throughout this whole movie, he had the most character development, as he goes from being this ruthless, remorseless killer into this reluctant leader and an unlikely hero who actually starts caring about other people. His compelling performance will make you sympathize with the character and will even make you want to root for him throughout, which is why Idris Elba is the MVP of this movie. Besides the stellar acting performances by all these amazing actors, the film had some really cool, well choreographed action sequences, as most superhero films usually have. Pretty much all the characters were given enough platform to showcase their skills and their powers, and they look really awesome in doing it. Special shout out to Margot Robbie for performing the stunt in that specific scene, because apparently she did that stunt all by herself, so kudos to her for that. Now that was all the good parts of the film, and now if I have to point out all the shitty parts, then I'll start with... Now guys, this is one of those DC movies that didn't have that many problems to begin with, and this is coming from a hardcore DC fan. Although one crappy part that I would want to point out is that this movie kills off a lot of the characters, and amidst all that, they end up killing off a few really important and fan favorite members that I don't think will sit well with a lot of people, especially comic book fans, because those guys are really important members of the squad. Even I was a bit shocked and kind of pissed off when I first saw those things happen, because it honestly felt like those deaths were there just to add to the shock value of the movie, and to be honest, they could have just avoided that. Then another crappy part that I could point out if I'm really nitpicking is that some of the supporting characters were very watered down, and they were just there for the comedic element, and they were not really given a proper opportunity to shine. Then the CGI for the most part was actually really good, except when the starfish comes up, cause that was just very gross to look at. Now that was all the good parts and the shitty parts of the film, and now it's time for my verdict. Appointing James Gunn as the director of this movie was one of the best decisions that the brain-dead executives at Warner Brothers could have ever made, because he truly succeeded in making this band of misfits stand out and establish themselves as one of the major players in DC Extended Universe. Although, it can be argued that this was basically a R-rated MCU movie with DC characters, because if you guys are familiar with his previous works, you guys can see that some of the MCU elements that we usually see in Marvel movies were in this film. And to a very little extent that is true, but even then so, the movie is quite distinct from the usual Marvel movies, and it has its own flair. It has a pretty straightforward plot with some really good comedy and really cool action sequences, and to top it all off, some great performances by some great actors, which makes this film a perfect, entertaining superhero flick. I'm gonna give this film a solid 7.8 out of 10. To all you guys who stuck by throughout this video, I just want to say thank you very much guys, and I really appreciate it. If you guys enjoyed this video, please like and share this video and subscribe to my channel by hitting the bell icon, because I'm gonna upload new videos every week, and I would love it if you guys were a part of this nation. Until next time, bye for now.